What's up, guys? Back with another Modified Rods podcast. Today I have two guests together. Today I have the crew from Belltech. Today I have Sarah and Joseph. What's going on, guys? Don't
What's
don't
going on,
speak at the
Brandon?
same time.
Hi, Brandon. Happy to be here.
So I've worked with both of them on my last few builds. I guess they were involved with the Sierra that I had at SEMA 23. They were involved with the Tahoe I had in SEMA 24, and then involved in the Maverick as well. So I guess, Sarah, let's get into, I guess you would have the background on who or what Belltech is for those aren't familiar. And if you're not familiar with Belltech, you've been under a rock or listening to the wrong podcast. So tell us what or who Belltech is.
Belltech started back in the early 80s and was owned by Jim Ewing. It was out of Southern California. He was a hot rodder, and he ended up building like the spindles for it. So he moved into trucks in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of went from there, I guess.
What started the company? What was the need? Like, all right, I have to. I mean, are you? I know neither one of y'all go that far back with the company, but either one of y'all, what was the need to start Belltech as a company?
As I understood it, and again, I'm not that far back, and then there's a whole lot of mythology behind it, and who knows? This person says it went that way, and that person says it went that way. But as I understand it, it was the spindle.
Yeah.
The spindle was the need, the drop spindle. To get that.
So that was the first. I guess Belltech was probably one of the originators of the drop spindle that we all know today.
We did it for a Pontiac Fiero for some like winter circle races originally, as what was designed, and then we moved into the C10, S10s, the OBS as that came up. So
I didn't realize that
there was so much
do
it yourself stuff that somebody like Belltech decided we should develop something that you can just buy and modify your truck without it having to be so DIY.
So the Fiero was the first product to come out?
Yes.
That's a car that most young people don't even know what it is. I remember everyone I know that had one wound up catching fire at some point.
Very true. I think that's where I learned how to drive stick in a Pontiac Fiero.
Really? There used to be a guy in town that used to make kit cars out of them, make all the fake Lambos and all that out of the Fieros. I'm like, how are you still finding Pontiac Fieros? Like, the company don't exist and the cars don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So when the company came about and then stepped into the truck market, I guess that's where the company exploded into being the staple for lowered vehicles, correct?
Yeah, in the beginning it was the way that they would buy our kits like dealerships would and install them and put them on trucks that they would sell back at the dealership again, and then they would do that.
Yeah, that was fairly common back then. I barely learned this in the last 5 or 6 years, but dealerships would order, especially in California, they would order fleet colors out of GM. So your teals, your oranges, your cream colors, like that PG&E blue, if anyone's familiar with PG&E blue. And they would buy Belltech components, modify them, install our parts, and put them back on their lot as a GM vehicle, like straight off the lot. But it was really at the dealership was where that was done. And so they're still floating around today.
Was there any GM licensing there in the beginning of all this, or the dealerships just took it upon themselves to include it in the warranty?
Right. I do not believe there was, but when you talk to one of these original owners, they do believe they bought something off of the GM lot that was shipped to the dealership, and then they bought it that way.
Which I know the sport truck era back in the, I guess that would be, the OBS, well, as we call now the OBS stuff. It wasn't called an OBS back then. It was what the CK or whatever. I guess when that hit, people like Boyd Coddington and stuff made that truck so popular, which I guess is why the dealership said we can sell this and make money and make it lower. Was I guess the kits were the same as they are now, is like a 4.6 or a 5.7 drop that the dealer could offer then?
Correct. Yes.
It's the exact same kit that's on our shelves today.
Yes. What's changed is maybe some manufacturing techniques. The hydraulics, the dampers have changed. We've updated that. We've gotten away from urethane just because it didn't last, so we replaced that stuff with rubber. So shackles back then would have had a sleeve and urethane. Now it's a vulcanized rubber piece like your OE. So,
I always thought changing stuff out to urethane was the way to go with bushings and stuff. Is it not?
in comparison to how rubber was made in the 60s, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, you're right. Urethane was the way to go. But now you have let's say, I don't want to call it levels, but that's what it is. You have multi stages of different rubber and different durometers, and they separated by sleeves of metal. So if it was a round hole, you're going to have different sleeves, and then you're going to have different durometers of rubber. So you can have like a progressive system, or it could all be the same, but that's going to be stiffer and last longer than your urethane. But number one reason is you don't have any maintenance. So, but back then, 100%, you're right.
Yeah. So Sarah, when did you start on with the company? Because you've been there a day or two, right?
I have. I started originally in 1998, and I actually worked for ST Suspensions, which was Suspension Techniques back then.
Okay.
And that ST Suspensions was owned by Belltech, so we were all in the same building. And Suspension Techniques had their own truck line, lowered and lifted at the time, besides their car line. So that's where I started for the first technically 5. So we would do combo shows of like, Belltech and ST at different events, and then we do separate ones. But yeah, that's where I started originally the first time around.
I never realized that the Suspension Techniques was the same company. Is it still to this day the same company?
Yeah, so Suspension Techniques, we phased out when I came back right before I left the first time. So it must have been about 2003. We switched over the name from Suspension Techniques to ST Suspensions, and that's what it's been ever since.
Yeah, and at that time, I would say even a little bit before then, the truck line was phased out.
Of ST Suspension, yeah.
But as I understand it, ST is what brought sway bars to Belltech.
Yes.
So without ST, there wouldn't have been any sway bars.
So I guess in the beginning it was just what spindles, springs, flip kits, and a C notch. Was all that part of the original kit?
Yeah, for all the truck stuff.
And then that,
we had block kits.
And ST was a direct competitor to Belltech, and they found a way to work it out.
Combine them.
So
yeah.
So Joseph, how long have you been with the company?
Since 2007. And then there was about a 18-month break in there, just to venture off and do other things. Came back and took over our R&D department. Started leading. What was that?
Seems to be a theme to start with the company, leave, and come back.
I think this is my 3rd time back. This is your 2nd?
This is my 2nd time. Mostly, it's just some of it's economic, some of it was, the truck scene was slowing down during the time that I left, and again, we're getting back. I mean, the recession and all that stuff, had been back for quite a bit, but I think everyone was still very cautious, and it was just too slow for me, and we weren't developing the way I wanted to develop, and but I totally get where the company was at, securing the name Belltech and making sure we were still going to be around, and then once we started communicating again, the direction was clear. We're going to develop, and we're going to develop a lot. And we started our LIVE program.
So with the company being around as long as it has, and you guys being there for a little while, how have both of y'all seen the company change to keep up with the growing demand and the growing technology?
Absolutely. So I got on board when the current owner of Belltech sold it to Klaus Wolfarth, which is the owner of a company called KW Suspensions, which then became KW Automotive. They made a parent company. They're based out of Germany. They met at SEMA, and Klaus Wolfarth loves lowered trucks. He's just in love with the scene. He's in love with the thought. He's owned every truck you can think of and ships them to Germany. And he took them over because he thought he could improve upon the scene with hydraulics, with dampers only. Belltech already had it figured out. He just wanted to bring the new technology of hydraulics. So that's when I started, is incorporating all that new technology. For anyone not familiar with KW Suspensions, they come from racing, really. All the Nuremberg 24-hour racing, all the hill climb events, everything that rally, some rally, not a lot. That is what they did, and he just met somebody at SEMA that owned Belltech, and they hit it off. And at first they were supposed to be partners, and that turned into a full-on ownership. And that's when
So I guess that changed drastically at that point, changed the way these lowered suspensions handled. It handled
Sure.
these trucks probably handled more like a sports car versus just a bumpy old truck.
100%. You had shocks that we were sourcing from Tokiko, I think, KYB, Belltech is how they were sourcing. They were tuned by Belltech. They were the lengths were determined by Belltech, but they were being sourced, like I said, by Tokiko, KYB. There was a few different other avenues. But now a shock supplier, a shock manufacturer owns Belltech. We put an end to all of that and said, let's actually, what if your wants were no longer limited? What if you didn't have to make compromises anymore? And that's what KW brought, and immediately put a two-way damper, which was at that time 2007. A two-way damper would have been race only, something that you could only source if you were racing, and immediately brought it to the truck market and said you can buy a two-way damper for, I don't remember the exact price, but again, you could barely get that for your car, and now Belltech was offering it for trucks. So.
I know a lot of the trucks I've shot over the years, whether they have some custom airbag suspension or whatever, it seems a lot of them, in the tech sheets, when I'm writing the articles, it says Belltech spindles, Belltech shocks. So even with their suspension, they're still running your product. So how do you market a non-full kit to these people that are doing custom stuff and not a standard 4.6 or 5.7 drop?
I think at times we have kind of not catered to that, but I feel like we're starting to get back into catering to that again because it's full, you know what I mean? Because even if you're not doing our full kit, we still have lots of products. Like our spindles are for sure, our shocks for sure, people can still use.
When I got on board, the owner wanted to make a big push of giving customers the full experience of, we don't want you to hate your truck because of something we didn't make. And so he made a big push of no more components, full kits. But that's fundamentally wrong when you think about truck guys. They want to be able to start their build at the drop they want, maybe change it over. And, it's constantly evolving. This is not, they're used to their BMW M3, this is KW, they're used to selling a coilover kit to BMW M3, and that's it. Yeah. The next things you're going to do is maybe wheels and tires. But with trucks, wheels and tires are like shoes. The height that you have just changes with the time. And that's when we got back into components and we became known for our shocks. And that was new to me. Being known for spindles and our hanger kits and flip kits, bolt-on stuff, it was new to me to be the shock guys. So happy to do it, and I'm happy everyone uses them. And again, just happy to, that's what you're feeling the majority of the time when you're driving. So good to know.
Now, I think, Sarah, you'd mentioned earlier that, got into the lifted scene. I think you don't want to mention that. I know Belltech was known for all the lowered stuff. When did they step up and say, all right, now we see the need for lifted. Now we have to create something for that market?
So I came back at the end of 2017, and they were already starting to do R&D on that, like probably about a year before it. And then I want to say we hit the market with it about 19.
Yes.
So we did like quite a few years of R&D before we actually hit the market with full-fledged kits. A lot of testing, a lot of
we
R&D.
were getting, back on your shock statement, we were getting a lot of requests on can you supply shocks to these lift kits that were already on the market. And we didn't have the lengths and we didn't have the struts, because especially the new generation stuff was all struts. People were pairing lift spacers with our struts, our lowering struts, and I'm happy they were doing it, but we could supply something that was better. So that's what started the venture, was just the damper side of it. Then it's like, well, we're casting, these people are casting a whole spindle. Why don't we improve upon the spindle as well for your lifted truck? Then it just spiraled, and we were like, well, again, back to, we can design a proper coil spring, and it just evolved to a full kit again. But it started with the damper.
Now going from the lift and lowered, I guess it was just the demand of what the trends were at the time. That if you missed that lifted market, you were just missing that segment of the industry.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At that time, the lowering scene was, I would say, slowing down.
For sure.
And if it was picked up anywhere. Maybe it was the bag scene, somewhere where we didn't really touch a lot there. So it was just a heavily modified back half trucks that we're not really specializing in. And so the lift segment was definitely the next avenue, something that was open to us. And we saw that we can improve upon it. That's always been our goal, or at least our rule. We're not going to make something for the sake of making it. If we're just going to make
Yeah.
it, we can improve upon it, or we're getting customers that ask for it. I mean, back to the Fiero spindle, somebody asked for it. And so we wanted to go ahead and make it for them, but never to just make it for the sake of making it.
Or like the Maverick, for example. I know you guys, the Maverick come out, y'all released the coilover kit, which I have on my Maverick. Mm-hmm. So how do you find a vehicle that's released to go, okay, we need to invest in the R&D on that specific vehicle? Is there a certain amount that the manufacturer produces and you go, all right, well then they meet our minimum number? How does that work?
All of it. So it's what new vehicles are coming out. Is it in line with like what we're already producing? Like we've already have a full line of a product for that vehicle already. So like the Silverado. So the next gen comes out, we're definitely going to pull that one in. If it's random ones, we go through and kind of look at how many sales there's been in the United States for that time, each year, and kind of choose between that, what the market's asking for.
Yeah, I think
we do full research before
I think you could say if a new Silverado comes out, we don't talk about it. It's happening.
It's done.
We're going to buy it. We're going to bring it in the house. We're going to buy the 4-wheel drive version, 2-wheel drive version, own it in-house and do all the development on it. When the Maverick came out, there was enough, I think, whispers in the industry saying mini trucks are back. So that got us to pay attention to it, of course, and we were also thinking the same. So when we got it, when we made an effort to go get it and make sure that we developed on it based off of that. Of course, we know Ford's going to sell a lot of them, but it was really that whisper of, we can really start modifying this. And it wasn't just us, it was wheel manufacturers and like, okay, I think we can do this.
Because it is a weird offset, different bolt pattern. Like it's not a standard truck setup. So it kind of makes it hard in that aspect because it's not a standard truck suspension.
No, it's not. So you're talking about a unibody. A unibody with 2 subframes, very similar to like a Fiesta. If anyone's ever compared the two. So yeah, you're right. It was very different, but it still had to do some truck stuff. And we had to keep that in mind when we developed the coilover kit. The spring rate and the dampers in the back still had to be able to tow, still had to be able to haul. But it's still a unibody. So you have a lot more noises you have to worry about. With a cab on frame, you can be a little bit less careful. When you design certain aspects of the damper, you don't have to worry about it squeaking as much. You do a unibody, that squeak goes right into the cabin. So you have to pay attention to those things.
So what would you say is your biggest selling product at the moment?
Hands down, F-150 kit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the F-150.
The what?
F-150 kit, hands down.
Okay. So I guess because that is the largest or the highest amount of vehicles sold is the F-150 currently, I guess, still from the last reports I've seen.
Yes.
Right, and that would consist of our front coilover kit or strut, knuckle, and then the rear flip kit with our damper. That's going to be the most popular kit right now, and C-notch.
Now I know the popular kits change throughout the time. I guess there for a while it was probably a C10 or an OBS before it turned. Have you seen any vehicle go from top to not the top to back because there's a resurgence in it?
I've been seeing a lot of mini truck kits that are
really
coming back up again. Yeah, a lot of like hard bodies, Mighty Maxes.
Mm-hmm.
So all of it. We've been selling.
It's crazy because you can't really find many of those anymore. Like even sitting in somebody's backyard or a field, they're hard to even find like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say in California, you see them every day. People still use them as daily drivers. But I would bet that they're harder to find the more east you go.
Sure. But yeah.
Now, what are some projects that you're working on vehicle wise that you're excited to kind of get out to the market soon?
Oh, we have a list.
Yeah, I could just go off of what we have in the shop right now. We got a lot of requests. I don't know if you heard about it, but Chevy had developed a monoleaf. It does not use a rear shackle. The leaf spring expands and contracts like as if the shackle's incorporated, built in, like it's built into the leaf spring. And the people that own this truck, they can't use a flip kit. They can't use a shackle and hanger kit. They can't do anything. So right now we have that monoleaf inside our shop
For the Silverado.
for the Silverado Sierra. And that's
The new ones?
yes, the new ones.
Because they must have changed that after mine, because mine was a 23 and it had standard leaves on it.
You're right. So it's an option, and I have yet to be able to figure out the RPO code for it or what leads you to what box you have to check to get this. We haven't figured that out yet, but it's an interesting design. I totally get it. It's a very comfortable leaf spring. For the people that are familiar with like the clacking that comes from a multi-leaf pack, it's subtle, but it's there. That's gone with the monoleaf. I haven't completely tested its towing capabilities, but again, I get why. It's comfortable and it's quiet. So we just need to figure out how to flip it.
I guess because it's a Silverado, that makes you bring it in, even though if there's not a lot of those being built, just because it's a Silverado.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because, for sure. But we did get a lot of requests through our phone, like online, or just giving us a call going, I already bought your flip kit, it doesn't work, or can you make this happen? And they were hard for us to find, but we did find one, and it's in our shop right now. And I would say we're about, from the R&D side of it, the physical side of it, we're like 90% done. Then comes the manufacturing side and the production side. So
I might have to look that up to see what that even looks like. I've not even heard of that. Well, on the subject of having different suspensions, when these companies come out with all this factory air ride and the Magna ride and all this stuff, I guess you have to adapt your kits to work with these new technologies.
We do.
Yes, you're right. With air ride, we're stuck to making spacers if it's like a lift system. If it's a lowering system, we're going to modify how the factory sensor figures out what height it's at. So we'll use that to lower the bag itself or to reduce the amount of pressure in the bag. With mag ride, we have to depin the shock absorber so that you can disassemble it, take the spring off, change the perch. Right now, that is a conversation for the Denali's and the Escalade SUVs because people want to lower them. And the only thing that's on the market that I've seen is a lower control arm that puts the lower mount inches away from the ground, below the rim line, which is a big no in automotive design, or suspension design, right? So we need to figure out how to make that perch. It'll probably be some sort of drop perch with instructions of how to depin your shock, but it's going to be labor intensive, and so we need to decide if it's worth it, But for sure, we have to come up with workarounds.
Now I know, like you guys have the lift kit on my wife's Tahoe, so I guess another GM, it comes in and you develop a lift and a lowered, but I guess you run into, like I said, you get kits and they don't fit, just like mine with the diesel. Like no one knew that it didn't fit till you go to put it on and realize that there's a fitment issue. Then it just has to be addressed at that point and fixed. But I guess with there being that many different variations of every vehicle out there, like you said, with the monoleaf and the diesel engine sits different and all that, I guess you have to make multiple kits for one platform.
We do. So we try to bring in like different vehicles for like before testing and after they're done with their R&D to test fit everything. But yeah, then we have to like figure that out, and then we can't get every vehicle in here, so then we have to start making notes until we can find the vehicles, or people give us feedback later on, and we'll just have to make notes if it doesn't fit for this vehicle. Or
absolutely, with GM and Ford, they keep it mostly consistent and as modular as possible. I was really surprised by that diesel issue, but with like Stellantis and Ram, they change their rear axle manufacturer quite often. So
probably whoever has the cheapest one.
Yeah.
I'll go. For some reason, they definitely change it a lot, and we have to bring in, I want to say 6 different Rams. Anything from a Rebel to their version of the work truck, and just to figure out, okay, well, this weld was slightly different on the control arm bracket, so we have to now clearance our brackets to work with their brackets. And we didn't solve that until, I mean, we kept progressively solving it, so we thought, but it wasn't until the last 6, 8 weeks that we finally get the problem child of all the axles. And so we have on regular, we have 3 trucks in here that we're working on at different stages, but we always keep room for an emergency like that Ram. That's for an opportunity,
Yeah.
emergency and opportunity, because you can have one but not always both. And so the Ram became available and we took it. So
Well, I guess that's the one thing I love about working with companies like you is the fact that, you know, I come across that issue with the diesel not working with the lift kit. You know, I could be one of those people that online, this stupid lift kit don't fit, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you work around it. And then, like I said, when I got with you, Sarah, you're like, well, we weren't aware of that. You know, now it's in your system. I guess, like I said, that's the notes to say, hey, now we need to address this and make this work, because you can't put your hands on every variation of every vehicle.
Right.
no, but even when that comes up, like yourself with the Ram customers, um, recently Ram went to two different engines, the inline six and the V6. You know, those customers had their trucks on the shop, I mean, on the racks and getting disassembled and put back together, right? They gave us a call. We're going to do our best. And with those customers, we've manufactured the new pieces here in house. We sent them off for powder coating and we delivered multiple options just to take care of them. You know, that finding out about the problem and solving the problem and taking care of the customer are very important to us. So it was no different when you ran into your issue.
We try to do it.
Yeah, and I love that aspect of being able to, you know, provide that immediate feedback and then, you know, see a company, all right, we're going to address this and make it, instead of, you know, you got a lot of these smaller companies and just be like, oh, well, I guess it ain't going to fit yours, move on. And it's like,
Right.
you guys seem to have that, you know, we have to make it right mentality behind it, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Now, I know you only did like the 4-inch on the Tahoe, for example. You know, you see a lot of these companies making these crazy big lifts and stuff. Is there a method to your madness of why you only go so low or why you only go so high? And Joseph, I guess being the R&D side, you probably test what the limits are of these vehicles without going into major modifications, right?
Absolutely. I would say the first thing that we fundamentally, what is Belltech? And Belltech has been bolt on, very little cutting, no welding. I'm not aware of anything we've ever asked for anyone to ever weld on their trucks. So that's our fundamentals. It has to be for the everyday guy, not a full custom shop, and you have to be able to do it in your garage. And a lot of the people we work with, when they do write-ups or they take pictures, they go and do it in their garage because they want to show the effort we put into to showing a floor jack, a jack, and your basic hand tools can do a Belltech kit. So with that fundamental, we then go from, what can the vehicle do? We work with a lot of OEMs. We do a lot of private label for OEMs. And so we know what OEMs are looking for. We know those safety things. We know what will and will not pass a crash test. And so we keep that in mind when we design. So does a 10 or 12-inch lift function the way a 4-inch or a 6 and 7 would work? No, not at all. But that doesn't make it wrong. That makes their goal 10, 13 inches of lift with that size and wheel and tire. So you're welcome to go after it. Again, it doesn't make it wrong. It just operates out of our fundamentals, basically.
Well, I know, like when I had my Sierra, everybody's like, "Oh, you lowered it, you ruined it, you can't tow." And I'm like, I still tow with it. Like it's set up and it rode stock, drove stock. Even my wife, you know, she drives a Tahoe. Like she hadn't driven it in a while because she's got a new car she drives for work, and she was close today to the house, and she's like, "All right, Tahoe's clean. I'm driving the Tahoe." She goes, "I absolutely love this." And you get in it, and you don't realize that it's lifted until you go to get out of it and step out of it and realize, you know, her at 5'2", that she's a little further off the ground than what it was stock. But the ride for such a large vehicle like that, I feel, in my opinion, does not change.
Right. And
you know, I've drove both those vehicles across the country and back, and you never knew the Sierra was lowered, and you never know that the Tahoe was lifted.
Right. And that's part of that process, that R&D process of, we gained a lot from working with OEMs, and that is it still has to pass this tow rating or this payload rating, and noises, of course, NVH, noise, vibration, harshness. it has to pass all these tests. So when we do a development, it's not just about 6-inch drop, 8-inch drop, or 6-inch lift, 4-inch lift. It's about we did it. Now can we still pass our payload test, our towing test? And the SUV that you're talking about, that was a big deal for us because we know the guys at the long wheelbase Suburbans and the Tahoes are still going to use it. They just bought it either because of their family or because they wanted something more enclosed and they didn't need the bed, but they still needed a truck. It's why they bought a cab on frame. They still needed a truck. And when you do all those tests during development, it translates to what you're talking about. You still have that OE comfort and OE, the NVH is gone or non-existent. It's quiet. So, yeah.
Is there any certain vehicle that y'all have had requested that once you get into with the team and look at it and go, yeah, we're not going to touch that, even though it is a big seller, just because I guess the fitment wouldn't be what Belltech would want?
I would say Sarah and her team, they come up with all the ideas and the goals, and then we get it in here. And so the truck's already, like, we could use the Ram as an example.
Yeah.
Hey, we want a 6-inch drop kit for the new 1500 Ram. Okay, that's the fundamental goal. It comes in, we bring it in, and it's not possible. At 6 inches, the axle's inside the frame. Okay, there's suppliers on the market right now saying they can offer a 6-inch, but they're just saying that's claim at that point because we're not going to C-notch something that has a coil spring right above the axle. We would have to make an entire bolt-in or weld-in modification to your frame. You're cutting all kinds of stuff, but we didn't stop. We just said the max we can do is a 5. And so that's what we changed. We don't necessarily turn something away, and I don't know of anything where we've turned it away. We've just changed what we can or cannot do.
I guess the Ram I didn't even think about that, having a completely different setup, because if somebody's not been under a Ram, it don't look like any other truck.
No.
Because it's got the coil springs instead of the leaf springs, and it's a whole different setup.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess, like you said, you couldn't cut into the frame. Like my Sierra had the bolt-in, C-notch, and it had the template. You line the holes up, you mark it, you cut it, it bolts right in, no issues. Like right. It was a perfect, easy install. Which I guess, like you said, that goes back to the whole user do-it-yourself thing. Which most of the tech articles I've wrote my whole career, I like doing in the garage or driveway with friends, just to show, like you said, that you can do it there. You don't have to have a two-post lift and $100,000 snap-on box and all that stuff.
Right, 100%. We keep that in mind. We've gone as far now. It's very recent, but in our instructions, we're calling out what tool to grab. So you don't have to be hunting things down. Or before you even get to the install day, you can just go through our instructions and say, okay, I have all this. We can get this done.
Yeah.
We are even going a step further of making it easier for the guy at their home. We've always targeted them. That's what we want to work for.
Now, so you do all of the R&D stuff in-house?
Yes, all of it.
How big of a facility do you have just in the R&D department?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've never measured it. So it's going to have it's in construction right now, but it's going to have a total of 4 2-post bays or 2-post lifts, and then our alignment rack. It has, all our tire equipment, tire machines, and then toolboxes and racking inside of it. It's fairly large, but I can't think of a square footage right now, but enough to fit all of that.
We're going to have to go measure it now. When we're done with this.
But it is part of you have one main facility there in California?
Yes.
Yes, so it's actually inside of our warehouse. It's enclosed off. Again, working with OEs, the R&D facility has to be locked down. No one can have access to it. So although it's inside the warehouse, it's a warehouse within the warehouse, or it's a building within the building. Best way to describe it.
So Sarah, on the marketing side of things, when they come out with a new product, how hard is it to get that new product to the people, with the fact of magazines not being what they used to be when Belltech first started? Because I know Belltech had multiple page ads in every magazine back in the day. Now is the marketing side. How do you push that product other than just to dealers?
Well, we are dealers, and then we still do some magazines. We try to find partners to work with that I feel like influencers and partners are pretty much the way to go. And their word of mouth at this point is probably better than even in print. You know what I mean? So, but we've tried to find a different variety of outlets to do.
So I guess this would be a two-part question. First from you, Joseph. How long does it take from pulling a vehicle in to being able to have the product? And then Sarah, how long does it take to, once that product is in hand, to be able to get it on market?
Kind of back and forth between
Sure.
us.
So if it is, let's say, if we just go back to 2018 and the new Silverado came out.
Okay.
So we had a two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. So that is a all hands on deck. We'll reduce how many other trucks we have in the shop because we want to be first to market. First to market's never been more important because of all the reasons she listed and you listed. It's not the same. We don't have to wait till that magazine ad gets out anymore. It is once that part's in our hand and on our shelf, we can tell the world it's ready to go. So at our fastest, we can go from truck rolls into our facility to on the shelf, I would say 23 weeks, maybe less. And that includes lowering, leveling, lifting, and all the OE replacement parts, because we'll also do OE strut replacements and shock replacements. We can
Oh,
do it.
really? See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we have a whole OE line in Belltech, and we can do it that fast. If it's that hot of an item, we can do it that fast. In the case of the Maverick, it was not our highest priority. So I think we've been teasing it now for better part of 2 years, maybe more.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. 'Cause we brought it in
Give
and
or
then it got
take.
pushed to the side for a bit.
And that happens. We don't like it, but also we were going through some team changes here and some, I wouldn't say growing pains, but we've been enhancing our manufacturing abilities, and the people here that lead manufacturing is going to be R&D. So then R&D resources get pushed towards how do we increase or even speed up our ability to prototype here, our rapid prototyping. So it can be that fast, like to answer your question, but then it can also be slower in the case of the Maverick. And in those cases, we apologize.
Well, you mentioned the Maverick though, but I know when we was at Battle Alabama, you talked about that the Maverick platform also crosses over to another vehicle.
Yes.
So, how often do you run into that, other than it being like Silverado Sierra, which is the same truck?
Sure.
How often does some of your products cross over to another vehicle under that one manufacturer?
Maybe it won't necessarily be completely shared, like component to component, but maybe a slight modification makes it now usable on both platforms. You could use the F-150 and the Expedition. The Expedition is a truck we have in our shop right now, the new generation Expedition, which uses the knuckle from the previous generation Ford, but the new strut on the new generation F-150. So, and then the rear, completely different. It's IRS in the back. We have to develop some links so that you can realign your vehicle, and a coilover, rear coilover, makes it really easy to lower and lift now. You don't have to do anything else. It's just as easy as doing a coilover on a car now. So the front end, two generations of F-150, the rear end completely different. You have the Ram that shares parts with the JT Gladiator from Jeep. So, you have that stuff. And from what I understand, it also shares parts with the larger Jeep, the Grand Wagoneer or something like that. So the Ram shares parts with that, yeah, because that's a cab on frame. So
now, how do you find that these link up? Is it you search the part number and it shows the same part number for all these vehicles?
For sure, there's all kinds of different investigation techniques. Something as simple as seeing it in a parking lot at a store and climbing underneath it and taking some quick measurements. SEMA Garage, they sometimes offer a vehicle that we can go. They're just 4 hours away from here that we can go measure. CAD data is getting really hard. OEMs are not sharing it like they used to. So,
really?
Right, they might share interior things so that they can get floor mats, or they might share different brackets so light companies can make lights. But suspension is getting harder for them, and I don't know the reason. They just don't share it as much as they used to.
Probably the same reason they lock computers and stuff out too now.
100%. And so then we have to advance, and that goes back to what I was saying just a little earlier, is that we have to spend weeks, maybe months, learning that we need to invest into a scanning system so that we can bring these trucks in here and scan their frames completely. So that adds on 3 to 4 weeks of development, because the scanning process is one thing. Then we have to turn that into a functioning model that we can work off of. So we can work on it in SolidWorks and develop off of it. So yeah, sometimes it's part numbers like you said, and then sometimes it's just eyes on the vehicle is how we figure it out.
So if anybody comes out of Walmart out there in California and sees some dude laying underneath their vehicle, just be like, "Oh, you're just from Belltech."
It's not the first time that that's happened.
Sir, what are you doing under my vehicle?
We'll try sometimes. We'll try the friendly approach, which is leaving the card on the window. And if that doesn't get a response, yeah, we just start going underneath.
So, I always talk about like the social media side of things. I guess, Sarah, y'all have a team that handles like your social media stuff.
Yeah.
Do you see the growth from social media like a lot of these companies currently do, because that's where the world's going?
That is where the world's going, yeah. And we've seen quite a bit of that. That's where we get a lot of our information out. Love's the one that handles that for Belltech, and she's been doing an amazing job with content over the last year. So she started, took it on full time. So, but yeah, that's where we get most of our information out now.
Well, yeah,
Between that, email.
From an R&D side, I don't have to wait for information to get gathered via the phone or hear from you back in the magazine days. It's now immediate because that customer's going to go their route of informing the world or you that your product it doesn't work this way or not as intended, and we don't take that in a negative way. Earlier I mentioned how we take care of those customers. So we get it immediate now, and we start making adjustments immediately if we can't figure it out. If it's not user error, and we try and figure it out immediately. So I appreciate it. Sometimes it's hard to take, but I appreciate the immediate feedback from social media.
For sure. So we can improve.
Now, you guys also hit quite a few shows throughout the year. I guess being in person, face to face, shaking hands with clients. I know I heard several people come up Battle Alabama's like, "Oh, I've got this, 90 OBS that's had the same kit on it since 1990," and it's, I guess putting that face to face with the customers kind of pushes your brand out there more than some of these other companies, suspension companies, that don't show face in the industry like that.
Sure, it's my favorite thing to do. I know, so we sometimes will take other R&D employees. It's their favorite thing to do because we keep them in mind the entire time. Of course, there's always going to be that bean counting of any business, but R&D and from the top down, from the owner's mentality, it needs to be ran by enthusiasts. And so when we get to interact with our customers, it's a blast. Even if it's something negative. If it's something negative, then I want to fix it. We want to hear about it at the very least if we can't fix it. But yeah, it's the only way to do it is to get out there and talk to customers and be face to face.
I think that's the way.
You don't get
to see the trends.
You don't get this shock from 1989 don't work like it does anymore. Why did it go bad?
We do, and I just recommend what we make now and why you'd want it, versus the original nitro drops and the nitro actives. What's changed? Because damper technology has changed drastically since the 80s to now.
Then again, my knees don't work like they did back in the 80s either.
There's that too, I think often I do it too. I forget that other components on my truck are wearing. It's not just the dampers. The body mounts are wearing, the seats are wearing, the thing that used to give me cushion is wearing, the engine mounts are wearing, and now I have a certain vibration that's relating to something else. There's all kinds of things that relate to suspension, or at least that discomfort or comfort that you experience while driving.
That's why most of the Blazer that I'm building has been thrown in the trash or taken to the dump or something. Like there's all these parts are just wore out after 50 years. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yes, I'm glad you understand that.
So how many, not necessarily products, but do you know how many, just let's say lowering kits or lift kits that you have on the shelves, like product wise?
So
how many different vehicles are you set up for?
Our complete part numbers, whether that is like shocks, the complete kit, flip kit, we have about 2,300 parts.
Oh, wow.
Include any of the subcomponents.
Now, do y'all generally keep that stuff in-house and sell a lot in-house? Do you rely on a lot of distributors to have product in their warehouse or shops?
Both. We have a full warehouse here, and the warehouse here holds only Belltech. We used to keep KW and ST, but Germany got so much better with their being able to ship right when you order it. So they pulled that all out. So this whole warehouse here is all Belltech product. So
And
How big's your warehouse?
100,000.
Right.
Yeah,
100,000.
between manufacturing and warehouse.
Okay. So
Right.
somebody can get with you on the Belltech website and purchase straight from you guys. You don't have to go through a distributor.
Yeah, you can do either or. We do two-step distribution, and we still do. We sell here.
I know a lot of sites you go on, they're like, "Hey, click here to find a distributor," and you can't buy from them. So
Yeah.
No, we have a whole in-house sales team. The website's handled by us. We oversee it, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we have our own shipping department, including freight and all that stuff. So we have FedEx trucks that sit here overnight, and we just load them. So, yeah, we ship out of here.
You can still go on our website too and buy from us, or we also give you our distributors information on our website too. So you have choices.
Gotcha. Has there been, I guess you say, other than the F-150 that's out, now you said that's your main one. Do you do more lift kits or lowering kits for that?
We do more lift kits. We do more lowering kits for the F-150. The Tahoe Suburban is what we do a lot of lift kits on.
Yeah, the new.
So I guess you've seen the market go from lowered to lifted. It fluctuates, year to year, decade to decade. Where do you see, based on your sales, where do you see the market going, lifted or lowered?
Right now it's sliding back into lowered again over the last year.
I think the lift kits are just getting smaller, right? Like not as tall anymore.
Yeah. Everybody that's lifting for the most part that we're not selling our big lift kits. It's more of like a 4-inch.
So I wonder what, from a suspension company's standpoint, what do you think the shift to being lowered is? Is it more of a nostalgia thing, or what pushes that direction?
I think, honestly, I think like the economy too, a lot of times when you can't afford, $5,000-$6,000 to lift your vehicle, you can spend, $1,000-$1,500 to lower it.
Absolutely. I've spoken to tire manufacturers, and it's the same thing. Their big tire lineup has fallen off. They're not selling as many. But she's right. Economics. It just costs too much to lift your vehicle. You're spending on wheels and tires. Your quality set of wheels and tires, you're going to be in it $3,000 to $5,000 depending on which route you go. Then you spend $3,000 to $4,000 on your lift kit, and if you choose not to do it yourself, then you have the install and the alignment and anything else. Then it spirals. You start off roading, you just want to do a lift kit, you just want to do wheels and tires, and you're like, well, I'm out there at night, now I need lights. Now I'm out there by myself, I need a winch, or I need straps, and it just spirals, and lifting can very quick. So
trust me, about the Blazer's the same way. We didn't plan on being what it is, and now I don't even try to look at my budget spreadsheet anymore.
Yeah. Right. The bill sheet goes from 3 items to a whole laundry list.
Now I see, like on the KW side, I see some posts and stuff about I know it's for some of the Euro cars and stuff, the hydraulic strut that gives you that little bit of clearance for, driveways and entryways and stuff.
Sure.
Do you see that technology making it towards any of the truck stuff that you're doing?
From an R&D side only, I will say that it's a complete like we can move it over to the truck side so long as it's a strut system. So anything on the front, like the front struts, so all the new generation Chevys and Fords. But from the sales side of it, I don't know if there's enough want or enough clarity from our customer base. I mean, Sarah could answer that.
I've only had a few people ask about it on the truck side, to be honest with you, but we haven't done an actual market study or research on it. So
yeah, even my goal for myself is to run it on my personal truck, because I do just ride around too low, and there's too many speed bumps, and there's too much. At least around here, the roads are just too bad. So I can't run my front valance anymore because that can't clear a driveway. So it would be awesome if I could lift the front end 2 inches to get over an obstacle.
Well, I know I've had with me detailing cars, I've had a couple Lambos in here, and I have to put the front up with the same technology. I have to put the front up just to get it in my driveway. And it's like, that's kind of cool for these low vehicles. Like you said, the speed bumps and stuff. I just didn't know if that technology for these sports cars would could or would transfer
It,
over.
it absolutely can, and we have more than that actually. So KW has a geofencing system that allows you to log these points so that whenever you come near them, say your own driveway, as you start to get near your driveway, it already knows to lift your vehicle automatically.
What?
Yes, KW has so much
Wow.
technology we can bring over. It's just a matter of if our customers want it, and can support it.
So do you see a lot of this new technology like that these, not just in that, but the way these new vehicles are bringing stuff in, advancing what you guys have to offer in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely. With the KW side of it, we do KW R&D here, just to be clear. So I have as much knowledge as this as say
Okay.
what gets done in Germany. We do it here. The C8 Corvette was done here. That hydraulic lift system was done here. All of that was done here. We do the electronic valves here for KW. It's usually only U.S. specific vehicles, but we do it here. So we can bring electronic dampers over here. We can bring four-way dampers here. The hydraulic lift system you're talking about, the geofencing or the geotagging, both, we can do that here. It's just a matter of the customers can support it and want it.
So you have that hydraulic lift technology for the C8s?
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I didn't even know that was even an option.
Yep, some of them came equipped with it. So we have a coilover system that works with the factory system, and
Oh,
then some
really?
didn't, right? And so we have a system that's bolt on, and you can install it yourself.
Wow, didn't know that. Learned something new every day. Just like I didn't know you sold OEM struts as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We actually, with the OEM struts, we went through just a couple weeks ago, and we marked like all of our part numbers
Mhm.
and correlated them to what the OEM number is, so that people will be able to find them. So we're going to put the technology on our website, so you can technically type in like the OE number and find our shock
So
equivalent.
say you have a new-ish truck that the strut's gone bad. How is your OEM strut different than what is on? Is it straight OEM
No,
ride quality, or is it?
no. So we apply our hydraulic fundamentals of what we like to see with the vehicle. It's going to be straight line stability. Obviously, your turn-in response time from compression. Safety is a big one for us, and we're going to incorporate our rubber vulcanizing techniques, our coating techniques, the chroming on the piston rod, all these things. It's going to be a Belltech strut. It's not going to be an OE tune shock at all. So
Gotcha.
we try. It's no different if you bought a Bilstein or if you bought like a higher end Rancho or something like that, where it has their fundamentals, right? They
It's
didn't
just
just
more of a OEM plus.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would I would like to believe most manufacturers are going to apply their fundamentals to their damper design.
Now we've talked on a few different podcasts about electric vehicles. It's been a love hate. Some people love them, some people hate them. I always say until you can go to the gas station, plug it in, go in and get a drink, hit the bathroom, come back out, unplug it, and leave,
Yeah.
it's not going to do anything for me. I'm not sitting somewhere for an hour trying to charge it.
I
Do
agree
you
with that.
guys do anything with the electric world, or is that something because of the batteries? It's too much of a weird issue.
From the car side, so the KW side, I would say the Tesla is probably one of the higher sellers. Uh,
Really?
yes, all the Audi electronic vehicles or EVs are going to be covered by us. I would say there's not an EV that we don't do for cars. On the truck side, it's on our list.
It's on our list.
It's on our list. And I'm glad it was sorted out on the cars first because we had to change oils, some valve designs because of noises. You don't have
Really?
you don't have the coverage of the engine anymore, or the transmission winding, or the drive shaft. You don't have that anymore. So when you develop aftermarket suspension for an EV, you need to be prepared to deal with noises or tell your customers too bad. And that's not something we're going to do. So I'm glad it was sorted out on the car side, and now we can incorporate onto the truck side.
So
So
I guess the only trucks are what, the Cybertruck and the Rivian,
you have the Lightning,
Silverado.
you have the Hummer, which I think is very close, if not the same, to the Silverado, or maybe they're slightly different. But yeah, you have a
On
few,
the Lightning.
Mhm.
and then hybrids.
So so you see that you have plans for those sometime in the future to?
They're on our list, so they're just kind of a little further down on our list right now.
Yeah,
And what's crazy is here at my house, North Carolina, yeah, you see EVs and stuff here or there, but like I've spent 3 months total this year out in Vegas building Blazer. I'd see more EV vehicles in one day in Vegas than I would in 6 months here in North Carolina, which is weird, but I guess it's more of a West Coast thing.
I think you hit it on the nose. It's the infrastructure. If the infrastructure's there, then the customers can be there, right? You're not going to build a restaurant in the middle of nowhere where nobody lives. There has to be people there, and you're not going to be able to sell a car that runs off charging stations if you don't have charging stations. And here, Tesla has super charging stations, if that's what they're called. They have them everywhere, and there's a lot of other type of like independent charging stations that are also everywhere. So you can walk into your Target, get that 15 or 25-minute charge, and get 100 miles, which is going to get you home around here. So yeah, the infrastructure's here, absolutely.
So I guess Sarah, being with all the marketing side, how do you find Belltech online? What's the best way to research your products?
You can go to belltech.com for sure. And we also have our Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all under it's Belltech Suspension.
So you said TikTok, and I always ask. So I guess Joseph's the one that dances on TikTok, right?
He definitely is, because he likes the camera and I
don't. I don't like the camera, but I know it's a requirement in today's world, and as much time as we put into R&D, if we're not getting all the details out there, then we're failing the customer and we're failing ourselves. So I'm getting used to it.
He's doing a good job.
It's the same thing with me. Like, I've always been nervous in front of the camera. It's like, this is same as sitting at a show talking to you guys.
Yeah.
But then if I have to do a video with just me, I got the camera. I'm like, I am doing this to it's still weird. This is normal to me.
This is a lot more comfortable than what we've had to do recently for videos. Yeah.
Well, a couple of things. I definitely appreciate you guys coming on. I've been trying to link up with you guys for a little bit. You guys are just as busy as I am, if not busier. And I definitely appreciate the support that you guys always give. I've loved the suspensions I've had with you guys.
Great.
It's awesome, to have that kind of relationship with a company like yourself, that when there is something new comes out, we work together trying to get it out there. That's definitely awesome to do that most people don't have that opportunity to do. So I definitely thank you on that.
Thank you. You've been a great partner with us.
Yep.
So you give great feedback, and we appreciate that.
And I guess we'll see you guys here at SEMA in a couple of weeks. Actually, this will where are we at? This one actually will drop Tuesday, the day of SEMA. So
cool.
During your downtime, you can just go ahead and listen to the podcast. Because SEMA's not busy at all.
No,
you don't have to talk to anybody all week.
Nope.
Sure.
Are you guys bringing any company vehicles out there? I know your booth's a little different this year. I didn't know if you have anything in somebody else's booth or something.
Some other people are bringing some vehicles, but might bring our Land Cruiser. So
okay,
it was kind of last minute, just brought up yesterday.
Yeah, I think so. The show right after Dino's is where we'll be bringing quite a bit, and if anyone's familiar with it, come visit, please.
Yeah.
For sure. I know I'm staying I'm going out to Vegas a week early to finish the Blazer. Then I'm there for SEMA. Then we're staying through Wednesday. Then to drive to Arizona for Dino's.
Awesome.
And, I actually had Dino on a few episodes ago, and I was discuss how he breaks it down. He's got the interior section. He's got the wheel row. He's got the suspension row. So if you guys go into Dino's, you're trying to find Belltech, they're going to be with all the other suspension companies, so buyers and people looking for stuff can find stuff easily. So
yes, and last year I got a lot of requests of things that we didn't have on display, and we've changed that this year. We're going to have all our GM product out there, a few other things, but it's going to be out there on displays for everyone to come out and touch, and we can talk about it. We're bringing more staff, we're bringing more vehicles,
bigger giveaways this year.
Nice.
So yeah, by all means, please visit us.
And Sarah, this year we expect for you not to have the SEMA flu, so you missed Dino's.
Yeah, no COVID.
She gets it quite
I think
often. So.
everybody in a group, at least 2 people in the group every year wind up with, I call the SEMA flu.
The SEMA flu, yes, very true. I've been lucky. That's the first year I've ever come back with anything from SEMA.
Oh, I usually come back. This year, like I said, I'm already 3 months in Vegas. I think my body's acclimated because I've been home for 2 or 3 weeks and I'm still on West Coast time. I'm awake till 1 o'clock in the morning. I sleep late, opposite of what I have been. But I think I'm just trying to prepare to spend another 3 weeks out there and have my body used to it. So, well, thank you guys for coming on, and like I said, we'll look for you at SEMA and Dino's.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.